Why on earth did you start a lawn care company?
Thanksgiving's coming up. Everybody wants the lawn to look as best as possible.
Pick what we're good at, what is profitable, and what is there a demand for, and not too much competition. So I really encourage people to start off by doing a lot of services and then really pick what you want to be known for.
Don't get hung up on the million things you can provide. Target it, niche it, and then become the best at it. I know a guy locally here, he put a stapler on a pole, and I'm not kidding you, he will reach it up the telephone pole like 20 feet, and then he'll smack it, and it'll staple his sign that high, and it'll stay there for probably a month before the wind rips it down or whatever. I had a really good mentor, my buddy Nate. He has a large maple syrup company here in Ohio, and I know that could hit home with you Canadian guys and gals.
Awesome. I hear it's really the maple syrup season this year. Better, your service is better, better, your team better and better, your lawn care company better and better. And then after 5, 6, 7 years goes by, you'll be in shock at the difference. It is a great day to be part of the Dirt Life. Today, joining us on the studio is Spencer Lawn Care. Spencer, hello.
What's up, man? How you doing? Can't say thank you enough for having us here on the Dirt Life. I know you're up in Canada. We're down here in the States, so some things will be very similar, but as long as people are getting better today here on the show, that's what it's all about. So I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be high intensity. I know you guys like to bring the energy, so hopefully I can match that a little bit here. I went and got an energy drink just for this occasion.
That's awesome. I got the large coffee ready to go.
Is
Already
that
have
Timmy's?
there. I got some good stuff. This is Tim Hortons here, the Canada speciality.
Nice.
Perfect. So for all you guys watching right now, wondering what is this video going to be about? We're actually going to be focusing this video on getting started in your lawn care company. We're going to be sharing stories about how Spencer started his business. I'll talk about our company, Yard Dogs Lawn Care here in Canada, how we got started. I think Spencer's on his 14th year. We're on our 10th. So we do have over a decade of experience each in this. But this video is really catered to the person that's just wanting to get started. You know, they're thinking about starting up their own landscape lawn care company, and they are just really on the fence, or they've just started and they really could use as many pointers as possible to make this happen. So Spencer and I are going to dive right into things and really talk about our mistakes, because I think a huge theme of this video is going to be, hey, you make a lot of mistakes, and that is totally okay as long as you don't give up. So Spencer, tell me a little bit. I think you mentioned it's almost been 14 years ago. Why on earth did you start a lawn care company?
Yeah, so rewinding back to what life was like in 2011, it was chaotic. You know, I had a 3-year-old daughter, had multiple jobs. Things weren't really going the way I had hoped. I'd always worked myself up to a manager or supervisor role, and then something inevitably would happen, you know, a recession or company would go under or whatever, and it would put me back to square one. So I kind of just got tired of it, as a lot of guys and gals out there in the world do. And, you know, I was like, hey, I'm going to do it myself. I asked my wife to give me 5 years because we were like in year 3 or 4 of marriage. So I'm like, am I going to kill my marriage here? Am I going to be, you know, a deadbeat husband, you know, a deadbeat dad? Or, you know, can I take 5 years and try to grow this thing? So that's what I did. I asked her, I said, give me 5 years. I said, if I can't do it in 5 years, I said, I'll go back to college, finish my degree, we'll move on, yada, yada, yada. Thank goodness it ended up working out for me. What I did personally is I walked out into the garage. I knew I wanted to start a lawn care business. But I walked out there and I looked and I said, what do I have? I don't want to get a ton of debt. I don't want to put my family in a bad spot if this doesn't work out. And how can I not put myself in a ton of debt to get started? So I walked out. I had a John Deere trimmer. I had a Boland's push mower. I had a pickup truck, and I had a push broom. So I knew I could clean some stuff up. I didn't even have a handheld blower. And I said, let's do it. So I came like anybody would. At the time, I did Craigslist and Facebook and any of the socials that were available at the time because they were free. It didn't cost me anything. And I was able to post out there just asking family and friends like most people do. And you know, that works, but I also feel like it's a big mistake on a lot of guys and gals side of things, because they think I'm just going to start a name, I'm going to have the equipment, I'm going to post that I'm getting starting this lawn care business, and then they go into idle, they go into neutral, and they just think all this work's going to come to them, and they might get 1 or 2 jobs here or there, you know, from friends and family, but then it doesn't continue going anywhere. And then they lose that spark or that initial reason they wanted to get going. So got to keep that advertising going. You got to keep asking for leads. You got to get out, put foot to pavement, get working and hustling, man. And Yeah, that's what we did. And not to take up any more time because I could talk about this for 5.5 hours probably, but that's kind of where we started and how we got going.
No, man, take as much time as you need. These kind of stories is what makes entrepreneurship worthwhile. So I absolutely love that. We were in a similar boat. I was 19 at the time when we started 10 years ago, and I wasn't married yet. But once I got married, everything changed. So what I mean by that is, with the first 5 years, we were just students. Myself, my business partner, Liam. We were just something that we would do in the summer. I was going to Calgary for business. He was going to University of Saskatchewan for engineering, and we'd meet up in the summer and we would do this lawn care thing, you know? And when I say thing, I mean every service known to man. Like when we started, we did absolutely everything because we didn't know what we were good at. We didn't even know if we were going to be running this business. So if you need your lawn mowed, we'd be there. If you needed your a backyard patio, would be there. If you needed your toilet scrubbed, we'd be there in 35. Like we were doing everything it took to make money. But the way it all started was we got invited to this conference where they'd give you a machine called an aerator, and you'd go door to door with that machine. And I remember thinking you'd get a 30% commission and you do the sales and the operations. But hey, if I'm doing all the sales and I'm doing all the work, I kind of want 100% commission. The only thing started stopping me is buying that machine, which was about $2,700 Canadian at the time. So I didn't have that money. So that's why I called Liam in the first place to see what he was up to this summer. We got the machine and we started going door to door. Now, obviously, there's a million mistakes that happen in between and after that. But I think what was important going back is that we weren't scared to make mistakes. Like we were so bad at door to door, Spencer. Like we had no idea how to sell. Like we had these long introductions and we were talking about our university degrees and how you should support students. And you could see in their eyes at the door, they were so checked out. And we didn't know what we were up to. We were just doing iterations. But when people asked, do you do power raking, for example? The answer wasn't no. The answer was yes. Because when someone's offering you money when you're starting, you do what? You take it, and then we'd go home and YouTube. What did I just agree to do? Power rate. What is power? And get
I
the
think
job.
we've all done that one.
So, what services did you start with, and how did your services evolve over time?
Yeah, so very similar. I started off with lawn care, and naturally, I think it's kind of like a step we all have to go through starting out from that position, starting out from really nothing. Is you're going to go through where everybody under the sun asks you to do an oddball job. And because we're so hungry and we want so much work, we're going to be willing to do it and figure it out. Maybe we're qualified to do it, maybe we're not qualified to do it, but we're going to do it because we want to make money and, continue growing. So we did, I mean, gutter cleanouts. I still do them occasionally, if we're slow or, a customer needs and an elderly customer we have or something, whatever. Actually, the last one I did this past fall, I did for free for our customer just because I knew, she wasn't able to get up on her roof and do it. And I was able to with the equipment we had. So I went ahead and took care of it for free real quick because I knew it was going to cause big problems this winter. But a lot of the same things. I mean, we were doing small retaining walls, and if somebody asked us to clean out a patio, we would do that. Which at the time we had to go in, we had to rent stuff. I have old pictures of a commercial property. As soon as we landed it, they had just opened up, and they had all this concrete and railroad ties and tires that had been dumped behind this facility when it was closed down for years and years, and they needed it all gone so they could use that space. We still have this commercial to this day. But we went in, and I'm not kidding you, for a week straight, hauled out loads and loads. And honestly, it was a good learning curve for myself because I learned how to evaluate and estimate for dumpsters and bringing in a rental piece of equipment for an entire week versus running it day to day. Making sure I'm insured to do all this. Where am I going to get rid of tires? Where am I going to get rid of railroad ties? A lot of guys will be like, oh, burn it. Well, you can't do that with tires and railroad ties. At least not if you want to stay in business for very long. So a lot of the similar things. We made a lot of mistakes, took on jobs that we shouldn't have. A lot of times we took them for very low, money. We weren't making a ton on them, but then you learn real quick once you're doing that job and you're not making any money, it sucks, And so you're like, I'm not going to do that again. Not, check that one off the old learning curve, and then you're going to move on. So yeah, a lot of similarities there. I think it's kind of honestly like a learning curve you have to go to. It's like when the construction guys you see here on the internet now, they have a new guy on site, they'll tell him to go over there with like a power drill with no battery and to run the screw in. They know he doesn't know, so they're going to take advantage of it and, get a chuckle out of it.
And that's so important, like built like that's a team camaraderie. Like that's why they all do that kind of stuff. And those mistakes are so massive in there. So I think make sure everyone here stays tuned to later in this video because we're actually going to take Spencer, myself, and we're going to ask the question, okay, we had to restart today. What are we going to do and how are we going to make this happen? But I want to dive a little bit more into your history, Spencer. So today, what services do you do and how large is your team today?
So we're really small. We've always been focused on just being small. When I originally started Spencer Lawn Care, I didn't want to be a franchise company. I didn't want to have tons and tons of employees. Now, I'll be honest with you, I plan on having a couple crews, but it just hasn't worked out the way we had hoped to. Maybe that's some on my leadership side of things, which I'm always looking to get better at, but also a lot of it had to do with our economy and, taking off at certain times. And then other aspects moving into our area, like the oil field and fracking. And a lot of that took a lot of our, I guess, cheaper labor, as you would say, or entry level labor. And they put them into the field where they could make $30+ an hour. And it was very competitive for us to even compete with that at all back in 2014, 15, 16. We were able to do it a little bit, but then it just became progressively harder. Not making any excuses whatsoever. There's a will, there's a way, but certain things just haven't worked out for us the way that we would hope to. So as of right now, we're just three: myself, my wife, and then we have one worker that comes out and helps us whenever we need it. And this year, we're hoping to grow that into another one, but I really don't have any plans whatsoever to go beyond a couple crews. As I get older, I know that we need help because my wife and I, we're naturally getting older and it's becoming harder and harder. We're starting to have little injuries that pop up here and there. Staying on top of stuff with our health and working out and all that helps as well. But yeah, we understand, we're not going to be able to do this forever as much as I like it. That's the main reason I'm still in the field, is that I really like what I do. I like putting hands on things. I like pulling up to a property and it looks like garbage, and then an hour later we can make it look, really good and the customer's super happy. That still drives me and intrigues me and keeps me going every single day.
Absolutely. And it's really cool. So we had Mike Andes here physically at our shop last week. And we
Nice.
were talking about like he mentioned how like in lawn care, it's important to really decide what you want. And I agree with this because there's no right answer. You have to ask yourself, what do I want out of this business? Because many people, they are married, they have children already. I had the luxury of, or maybe the demise of not being married yet when I started. So I was able to go through a lot of mistakes before we really started to get things serious. But once we were, I think 4 or 5 years in, I did get married. And my wife was like, okay, so like, what is this Yard Dogs thing? So it's Yard Dogs Lawn Care in Canada. Like, are you guys gonna do this full time or not? Because like her and I, we both wanted to have children. We wanted her to stay at home. That was a big thing that we wanted when we went into the sacrament of marriage. So we decided that I'm going to give this company 1 full year of my time and attention with Liam. We're going to go all in because we weren't doing snow removal at that time because we were just students. Let's go in for 1 year and let's see what happens. But we had to pick a niche because like I mentioned before, we were doing all these different kind of services. And Liam and I decided, okay, we need to pick what we're good at, what is profitable, and what is there a demand for and not too much competition. And we decided at our company that that was going to be the fertilizer and weed control space. So making lawns green, healthy, and weed free. And we also said, listen, snow removal, we're only going to do it in the winter for like, we thought we'd be doing it forever, but we found a lawn care mentor. We found someone on YouTube that had built a huge lawn care company, gave him a cold call and said, hey, like, we're from Canada. We're super far away from you. We're not. I was wondering if you'd spill the beans with us because I can't compete with you. You're across. You're way out down in the States. I would love to learn what you've done though, because you've obviously built an incredible company. And that guy gave us his time for about a year of these
That's
5
awesome.
calls, and he actually told us, don't do snow removal. Do it only until you can afford not to do anymore, because you're in the lawn care business. You are not in the snow removal business, and it's a completely different industry. And I can believe that because at that time, a few years in, so in 2023, we did just over 2 million in revenue. But at that time, we were a little bit closer to 1 million, and a huge chunk of that, about a quarter of that, was snow removal. So thinking about getting rid of a quarter of your business was incredibly scary. But one
Yeah.
thing we learned when we really started to get into things is that you actually grow by saying no. You really start to pick a niche and go all in on that niche. And there are just so many distractions, Spencer. Like, someone's going to give you 5 grand to build a patio, and you can do it in like 2 days. It's going to be super good. but it's going to make your weed control route get behind, your fertilizer route get behind. It comes a pivotal point in your business where you have to say yes or no. And gosh, it hurts saying no a lot. But thank God we eventually started to build a business just focusing on our niche, and people started to know Yard Dogs Lawn Care for just doing fertilizer and weed control. So I really encourage people to start off by doing a lot of services and then really pick what you want to be known for. But have that conversation with your wife. Do I want to be a big company, or do I want to stay a small, tight crew? Because there are so many pros and cons of both, and it is actually dangerous to be in between. So what I
Yeah.
mean by that is that if you stay small, you can keep profit super high because you don't have to take on too much overhead. You don't have to get all this fancy stuff, and you're the guy that can go fix things. You're the one that can go solve problems. Or if you're going to go big, the problem of staying in between is that you get the shop, you get the equipment, but then the shop is like half full and the equipment is half full. So for example, 2 years ago, we spent over $50,000 in a calendar year on our CRMs. So that's a combination of HubSpot and RealGreen. This past year, even though we were twice the size revenue-wise, we still paid $50,000 in those for those CRMs. So your revenue starts to go up, but the overhead stays the same. Those fixed costs will kill you if you stay in between the small and the large.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always kind of known, and to be honest with you, my wife coming into the business was completely by accident in 2018. So what happened is I was having issues hiring, and this was coming into 2018. I ended up hiring a guy. He worked out for, I don't know, maybe like a couple months, and then I could tell like he wasn't as interested in it as, initially. So he ended up leaving. He called me he at least gave me a call, even though it was bad timing. It was like 2 a.m. He calls and he's like, "Hey, I'm not coming into work tomorrow." And I had a 12-yard mulch job to do on a commercial.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh crap, I'm pretty much screwed, at this point. I'm toasted. I do what anybody does, I'm gonna quit, I'm done, yada yada yada." Long story short, I went out and did the mulch job by myself. Took me 2 days to do it. I got it completely done. I mean, we had to cut bed edges in. I had to hedge trim everything. I had to load the mulch off of a utility trailer, which at the time I had a 7x12. So I was only able to haul like 3 yards, 4 yards of mulch tops. So I had to make multiple trips, wheelbarrow it. It was a tough job. But I realized right then and there, like if I don't have help, I'm out of business, plain and simple. So I went like a week and a week and a half. Told my wife, I'm like, look, if I don't get somebody in next week, I'm done. I can't do all this myself. So she said she had a cleaning company with her sister at the time, and they were doing really well. She said, "Hey, I'll come out, I'll help you out during the day," because their cleaning jobs were mainly after businesses closed. So it'd be like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 p.m. So she came out and she busted tail. I'm not kidding you. She worked with me. I was only planning on maybe like a couple weeks till I got another hire in. And it was at a bad point of the year, though, because we weren't in the spring rush. So all the good guys and gals that were looking for that kind of work had already gotten gobbled up. So now you're kind of left with the leftovers or somebody that maybe isn't happy, yada, yada, yada. Well, I couldn't end up finding anybody. So she stayed on and finished out the rest of the season that year with me. And it was a tough year. We lost her mom that year. So it was a bad year in general. We got accidentally pulled into a partnership that honestly turned out to be phenomenal for us for the social media side of things. So I had already had the YouTube channel. At that point, I was like just coming back because I took a year off, and the social media was trending up like heavily. A lot of people were getting interested in it. YouTube was really starting to grow for the green industry. And she came aboard and it was like throwing gasoline on the fire. And I mean, the thing just skyrocketed. And I mean, like one season, our social media caught up to the business, for generating revenue. And I'm like, holy crap. And then I'm sitting down with my CPA at the end of the year and he's like, "What is this, dude?" And, like, he's like, "You got to figure something out here." It was kind of like a balance. Like if you're on a teeter totter or something, what are you going to give it to? He literally looked me in the eyes. He's like, "Sean, if I was you, go after the media." And this is like end of 2018. So I did. I mean, I took his advice. I went 100% into media. I went, I think, a year and a half almost without missing a day of uploading a video. And we went from, I think, like 25,000 subscribers to over 100,000 in that year.
I can't even imagine what your accountant was thinking when he was looking at your profit and loss statement. It's like, okay, you got mowing, you got mulching, you got snow, YouTube. What kind of business is this? And why and like the media is exploding. So, but you didn't miss a post for posting every single day for over a year.
I feel like it was longer, but I don't want to say a date and then somebody come back and say, hey, no, it wasn't that long. But I know it was well over a year. So maybe a year and a half, I went straight, not missing a day. My CPA, he's like, hey, bro, he's like, I don't know what you're doing over here, but it's really working. He's like, I haven't seen anybody take off like this ever. But you got to remember, a lot of CPAs and stuff really didn't know or have a lot of clients at the time as well with social media. It was very still new even at that point, but we just started taking off. So he's like, hey, it's like a teeter totter, and we got to figure out a balance because this just went from, like here to boom, now they're even. He's like, you got to figure out which one here you need to go after. And I'm like, well, the social media has very low overhead. We got to buy computers and cameras and, this and that. And then the lawn care business over here, we got to buy, ten to $15,000 mowers, trailers, trucks, insurance, yada, yada, yada. So it was like, holy mackerel, I need to go more at this. So I did. I went full in on the social media and still running the business. I mean, that year we finished off, my wife and I, with 73 clients. So it did phenomenal. It was our best year ever. We took everything we made and we rolled it right back into the business. We expanded our snow removal. I know a lot of what you were just saying, you had to pick and choose. That was kind of the same thing with myself. We had customers, which at the time I was subcontracting them out to a company that I was actually working for in the wintertime up until like 2016. So I would go plow for him. I would keep my accounts. It'd keep somebody else off of my accounts. Well, then he let me know, like, hey, I'm going back to take this job. I'm not going to be doing this much longer. So we got to figure something out here. So I didn't want somebody taking my commercial contracts because I had worked so hard to get them. So I knew we had to go back into snow removal full time. We had been in it once and then I left. It's an expensive game to get in. And if you don't have the contracts there to keep you in business, it can be very tough. Like the last couple of years here in Ohio, we've had like zero winners whatsoever, but our contracts pay the bills. We don't really make anything on top, but we just get through and get by, if you know what I'm saying, until we get back to our green season. So had to figure that one out. Ended up, getting back into snow removal, did really, really well. We had a really good year that year. I mean, we did phenomenal.
All right, so Spencer, I'm going to change the direction a little bit. Let's now start to focus on really, if we had to restart today, knowing what we know today, what would we be doing differently? So the actual date today is February 22nd. I don't know about you guys, but our lawn care season typically starts May 1st. That being said, with that El Nino, it is dry and it is hot right now. So like it's -2 right now in February Celsius, but normally it is honestly like -20. So warming up. But let's say, Spencer, you had to get going. You got 6 to 8 weeks. Today you decided I'm going to start a lawn care company. Walk me through what you're going to be doing.
Yeah. So first I would evaluate my area and figure out, like you stated earlier, what is everybody doing and what can I do differently? And then I would do exactly what I did back in the day. And I'm not tooting my own horn by any means. I'd go out in my garage, my shed, the backyard, whatever you have, and see what kind of tools I have and what I can use without getting myself into a ton of debt. Because from the time period when I started in 2011 to the time period now, equipment has went through the roof. Everything has went through the roof. But that's a whole different topic. And, we could go down that avenue maybe here in a little bit. But if it was me right now, I hope you would have some sort of experience. If not, I would 100%, and this might kind of go against the grain of what most people want to hear right now, is I would go work for a landscaping company or a lawn care company or a business you want to do possibly. And this can save you a ton of headaches. And the biggest one is going to be, you don't know yet if you really like what you're trying to do. Everybody, the springtime's really great. Grass is green, everything's growing. Whole different ball game in August when it's 105 degrees and humidity's through the roof and a customer hasn't paid you for a month and everybody's yapping, they need this done, they need that done, and it's just not as fun as it was in the springtime. So get yourself some real world experience if you don't, to make sure this is something you want to do. But now if you already have experience, do exactly like I said. Keep the debt low, figure out what you have. Is it really what you want to do? Do you want to do aerations and overseeding, slit seeding, whatever you guys want to do? Or do you want to do mowing? Do you want to do just landscaping, mulch jobs? What do you want to do? And then you got to figure it out, because what the Dirt Life wants to do, what Spencer Lawn Care wants to do, can be totally different from what you want to do. So it's really figuring out what your love, what your passion is, and what you want to do. And then advertise, guys. You got to advertise. You got to advertise. You got to advertise. But make sure the work that you're advertising for you can actually do. and make sure you do a really, really good job of it. You know, I could hit on 50 different things here. Make sure you got insurance. And I don't want to like overwhelm anybody because that can deter folks from going down that road. But you know, you got to make sure you're going to have a checking account. If you're going to get checks or some kind of deposit, I recommend 100% do not wait on your money. If you go get a haircut, you pay when you get done with the haircut. If you go to the drive-thru and buy a coffee, you pay at the very end. Same thing with your lawn care service or your fertilizer service. When you're done with the job, have a card on file, boom, take the payment, move on with your life. You're not sitting there 6 weeks from now, did Miss Smith pay her bill? Or man, did I get that one? And then you're looking back through your bank account like, oh, there it is. Or you charged her again and she had already paid or whatever. Get yourself a good card on file system, a good payment system. Keep everything in records and simplify it, guys. You know, the KISS method, keep it simple, stupid, is true. Going back to what we were kind of hitting at earlier, you know, I know it's hard at the beginning because you want to do so many services just to bring revenue in and you want to make money. But when you're running yourself thin and you're not really specifically targeting a niche or a service that you provide and becoming the best at it, you're going to be doing 50 million things okay, but you could be doing, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 extremely well and beating everybody in your area and becoming the professional at that. And then it's really simple to get the things that come with those, the benefits. You know, when you do a really good job and, you know, Miss Smith gets her bill, you can follow that up with, hey, here's a Google review. Could you give us a Google review? We love Google reviews. You know, they help the business out a ton. This will help put my daughter through college or whatever. You got to learn your sales pitch, but there's ways to do it and ways to market it where it doesn't feel pushy. And most customers, they don't have a problem giving you a review. If you did a quality service, you responded to them quickly, you took care of their need, because at the end of the day, that's what you are. You're a service provider. And just like anything, whether it's an energy drink or a cell phone or your lawn care service or fertilizer company, if it doesn't follow through with what it says, you're not going to be in business very long. So you got to nail those little things that are so beneficial to your business and so prosperous to you and your livelihood that you just become the best at them. So don't get hung up on the million things you can provide. Target it, niche it, and then become the best at it. The ceiling's the roof for you. You know, you're going to go as far as you want to go.
I love that. And I agree with a lot of what you just said there. I think if I had to go back myself, so like today we'll have 16 trucks for this upcoming season. Last year we took care of 4,500 residential customers, and we're shooting for about 6,000 this year. But that all started with 0. And if I had to rewind, let's say I have my 3 kids. I have a 4-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old, and I have a stay-at-home wife. So we need to make money quick. And like you just said, I think a big thing is don't spend money if you don't need to. So right away, I would personally, because I know what I know, I would still decide to do a fertilizer and a weed control company for sure. One is I have terrible grass allergies. So like mowing lawns, spring cleanups and stuff, my hay fever goes nuts. But we only have 6 to 8 weeks here. So getting my herbicide licenses is going to vary massively depending on what state you're in, what province you're in. So we're in the province of Alberta, which is just north of Montana. You still need to go through a certification process, but it's not terribly hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time. So right off the bat, I would start studying for my herbicide license during the day. And I would try to get that exam whole process done within a 3-week window, which is possible, but it's a book that thick. I wouldn't try to memorize things, but I would read everything. So when I get to that multiple choice exam, it would at least spark a memory. And you'll have to get 70% on these exams too. But I would really focus on selling services before the rush comes. So I would really go all in on door to door and making myself some sort of a door hanger flyer that I can leave on the doors with every single thing I do. I know fertilizer and weed control, if I went all in for my first year, it probably wouldn't pay the bills. So I would be very open to sticking just with lawn care and doing spring cleanups, mowing, and then of course fertilizer, weed control. And I know that in a year or two, I'm going to stop the spring cleanups and mowing, and I'm just going to go all in on making lawns green, healthy, and weed free. But I'd go buy some commercial grade allergy medications. I'd get ready to mow a lot of lawns, and that's what I would do. So I wouldn't go buy a mower yet. I would go look in my garage to see what I have. Or I'd go, like if I was young enough, I'd just go to my parents' garage and say, I'm taking the mower. Like you got to support a local entrepreneur. I'm taking this thing. I'll mow your lawn too. Sort of thing. I'd try to rent as much as I could at the start, but before I rent the equipment, I would try to fill up my workdays schedules with jobs. So I'd be studying for my herbicide license during the day. So there's 8 ways to get clients ultimately, Spencer. The first one is you reach out to people that you already know. Make a nice email that I'd send to all of my relatives to send to all of their friends. So it'd be like, hey, grandma, can you please send this to all your friends in Calgary? And it's going to say something like, hi there, my name is James. I am a father of 3, and I have started up my own lawn care company, Yard Dogs Lawn Care. I'm going to be providing spring cleanups that's upcoming April and May, and I'd love the opportunity to power rake, aerate, first cut your lawn. Here's my prices for the different types of square feet I have. Call me, email me, or text me. Make sure there's a very clear call to actions, and I'd ask all of my family to send out that email to all of their friends, and I'd do that with my friends too. I'd be posting on my personal Facebook, my personal Instagram, that I'm in business, hire my services, give me a chance. So that's reaching out to people that I know. The second way to get clients is to reach out to people that you don't know. So I'm going to be going door to door. I'm going to be from 4 to 8 p.m. every single evening. I don't care if it's a Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I'm going to have a conversation with my wife beforehand, making sure that we're on the same page here. Because listen, we're starting a business for ourselves. We have expenses. We need to be focusing on making income. I'm going to be working 12-hour days, honey. And I'll be there. I'll be there for when the kids go to bed, and I can pop in for lunch, that kind of thing. But I got to make this happen. And if we're on the same page with that, I'd be doing door-to-door every single evening, trying to book future services. Because right now there's snow on the ground. People don't expect you to do it right now, but they will. So I'd be going door-to-door like crazy. And the third thing I'd be doing is I'd be posting content essentially. So I'd be making sure that I have a solid website, and I'm writing a whole bunch of blogs on my website. So when people go to Google, I'm going to try to get my SEO up as high as possible. Now, that's not going to help me this year, but this will help me next year because it takes a lot of time for your SEO to kick in. Once I had the money, I would hire a back-end person for that. But I wouldn't get into that. I'm not going to get many clients from posting blogs and stuff on my website yet, but I'd make sure my website is very easy for people to go onto, and I get their email and phone number, submit a quote today. The fourth way to get clients is to have paid ads. So we know a lot about Google ads here, and I would be maxing out my credit cards during April and May, seriously, to get as many leads as possible because they are extremely qualified. So when people go lawn care Calgary, your ad is popping up. We spend $1,000 per day on Google ads during our peak season. And I would make sure that Google ads gets me a ton of leads coming in, and I'm just advertising for fertilizer and weed control. I might do spring cleanups and mowing a little bit to fill the schedule, but I'd really be focusing on getting as many leads as possible for my core business, which I do want to be fertilizer and weed control. The next 4 ways to get clients are very other people related. So the next one's going to be referrals. Obviously, I'm new to the business. I don't have people that I've done work for, so I can't ask for referrals quite yet. But throughout the season, as I'm on the 2nd or 3rd job for that person, and I've been doing good work, and I'd be emphasizing to do the best work I possibly can, so it's easy to refer me, I would start to ask for referrals. Hi there, I've just started my business. I think it's going really well, but I would love to take over more properties just like yours. I was wondering, your neighbors, do you know their name and number? I'd love to have an introduction where I could take care of them too, or your family, etc. So I'd be asking for referrals like crazy. Like you said, I'd be asking for Google reviews like absolute crazy. I'd make sure it's very simple. So we print out a card with a QR code on it where I can just hand it to you and they can scan it. It'll go right to our Google review page. And even if someone said like, honestly, if I was very desperate at the start and I didn't have a lot of business and I went door to door and I pitched someone, could I, mow your lawn? And they said no, I'd say, listen, I'm getting new here. I have a lot to learn, prove myself. How about I do it for your first cut completely for free? All I ask in return is that you write me a Google review. I would probably do about 10 to 30 of those just to get some Google reviews, just that people can, when they see Yard Dogs Lawn Care, they can see that we've done some past work, and that doesn't cost you much besides your time. 5th way to get clients is affiliate. So I'd go probably reach out to a whole bunch of lawn mowing companies that don't do fertilizer and weed control. And I would say to them, you just do mowing services or landscaping and stuff. I'm trying to build a fertilizer and weed control company. For every single person that you refer to me, I'll give you $30. Or I'll figure out what my cost of acquisition is for those customers and find the right price. Because you're either going to give the money to Google or you're going to give it to a local lawn care company. It's better to give it to the local company. So
Exactly.
pay them for their leads for fertilizer and weed control. And I would not compete for mowing landscaping. I'd be very respectful about that and say I'm just growing my fertilizer weed control company. The 7th way to get clients is to have sort of like a lead generation software like Home Stars or Home Advisors. Personally, because those can be expensive, I wouldn't even touch that space. And the 8th way to get clients is to have your employees actually get friends and family when they're out there. Now, I won't have any employees my first year. I'm going to do everything myself. So I'm going to go hard on knocking on those doors and getting as many clients as possible booked for the future. And then from there, I can start to make my routes. And I'll try to stick to one quadrant of the city, probably just the Northwest, a few communities, because I can only, the more you're driving, that windshield time absolutely kills you. So I need to focus on making sure I have very tight communities. And then once that day comes up, I'm going to make sure I go to Home Depot and I'm going to rent that mower for that day, or I'm going to rent that power with the aerator, or I'll go to the local rental shop and get that, and just try to get money in the bank before I can invest in solid equipment.
For anybody watching this, though, don't feel overwhelmed when you hear him say like, "Hey, I'm going to spend $1,000 a day on advertising." Like most guys and gals aren't going to start out there. I know I couldn't afford that. So a few things that you can do that are, I won't say completely free, but a lot cheaper or more affordable options. Bandit signs. Bandit signs work really well. You're going to want to check on your area. I don't know if you guys are allowed to do that up in Canada. I don't know.
That is exactly.
So basically, like the little square signs with the metal stakes you see on corners by like the stop sign, or sometimes people nail them to telephone poles. Very common here in the States. Very affordable here.
Calgary. It's illegal to put up, but it's not illegal to have up. So you go out at 2 a.m. and you put them up and you don't get caught. And then when the city's cutting, they'll take it down. But your sign, if it's on like a public boulevard, might stay there for a week or two before it's taken down. And those are great for getting.
I know a guy locally here. He put a stapler on a pole, and I'm not kidding you. He will reach it up the telephone pole like 20 feet, and then he'll smack it, and it'll staple his sign that high, and it'll stay there for probably a month before the wind rips it down or whatever. I personally wouldn't recommend that. I don't like a lot of litter laying around or my business stuff flying all over the place. But there are areas in our state that you're allowed to put out bandit signs, and I mean, you can get 100 bandit signs for like $300. And I mean, they're 24 inches by 24 inches with metal stakes. And that's just another option. There's a million ways you can do this thing, but some more affordables, are social media. And like going back to what you're talking about with SEO, search engine optimization, if you don't know, you can go on to and make a business page on Facebook or Instagram or even TikTok now. And yes, this isn't going to drive a ton of people to you specifically, but you can start building up your SEO there by targeting your area on your business page with hashtags. So you can hashtag, Alberta, Canada, or Ohio, lawn care near me. I'm in Stark County, so Stark County, Ohio. And then you can target other little things, your business name, and start building that hashtag up so that whenever you do get to the point where you have a website and you want to start really working on your Google ads and all of that, whether you're running ads on Facebook or on Instagram, where you can really hone that area down. And this is the thing as well. All advertising is not the same. So if you go on, a lot of people don't know how to use these platforms yet to advertise. They'll just go in, oh, it's an ad generator, pay some money, and then they'll shoot it out. Next thing you know, they're advertising in Alabama and we're here in Ohio. Well, you're just wasting money. And if somebody clicks on that, that's obviously another click there and you're just not doing your thing. So make sure you know how to post those ads, or at least hire somebody that can post those ads. And these have gotten better over the years as well, where you can really hone it down into your area. And don't be targeting 30 miles away and 45 miles away unless you're doing big jobs like that where you can bring that in, like masonry or construction. We're in a lot smaller demographic here. If you're doing $100 fertilization or $65 mow or whatever, you need to be close to home, and your root density is going to make or break you. Like he said with windshield time, that's the same thing. If you're sitting in that seat, you're not generating income. You're just wasting time and wasting money there. So make sure you're out on the lawns or whatever, and you're making money. So just a few different things there you can target. And there's a million other I could sit here and throw out there, but those are just some for you guys and gals that maybe are just trying to start out, have very little income, and just don't know what to do. Start that up, get those hashtags moving in the right direction, and at least just get started. That's the biggest part.
Getting started, like you just said, because I find that, so I went to business school and I found that a lot of people said they wanted to go into entrepreneurship, but they liked the sexy part of entrepreneurship, which means like the planning and the getting things ready. They didn't like the not sexy part, which is like hey, having a solid product and being okay making a lot of mistakes with your product or service, sales, like and getting people to actually buy it and pay you gets really tricky. But you don't have a business unless you get money coming in. And so many people spend a lot of time with their logo, their business plan, their name, and they love spending money on their business, but making the money is so important when you're getting started out. So although I do 100% agree, go get a business checking account. Make sure you get your business license, go get some liability insurance, get all those ducks in a row, but don't be afraid to get started on the sales process early because you don't know what your services you're really going to do yet. Like you don't know what kind of demand there's going to be. You don't know what you're good at yet. And the only way to get better is to start making a lot of mistakes and not quitting along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And follow those things up year after year as you grow as well. We check our insurance rates every single year, and you wouldn't believe how many times you're overpaying where you could be saving an extra $100 a month or whatever. And that stuff adds up. You got 12 months in a year, you're saving an extra $1,200. You could roll that into, a whole nother day worth of advertising or something else. So just make sure you're staying on top of those things. Even like your business cell phone, stay on top of rates you're paying for that. You don't need all the things you need on your personal phone. You're not going to be uploading tons of stuff from your business phone compared to your personal phone. And also, there for a long time, I had multiple phones. I still have two, but at one point I had four. And then we come to find out we could do other things as well, where we could have multiple numbers on the phone. It's just simply clicking an app and we switch back and forwards. Now that can bite you in the behind too. If you don't stay on top of switching back and forwards and checking things like I tend to do. But I'd call people back 3 days later sometimes. That's on the personal side, not the business side. Business side, I keep logged in 100% of the time.
Okay, so I know that some things people get into really debates about what they should be doing and stuff. They should do this or this. So Spencer, you starting out, would you use a CRM right off the bat? And if so, which one would you use? And that stands for customer relationship manager. It's the way that you organize your contacts. Sometimes you can do your payments through them and you can schedule your jobs sometimes through those as well.
My wife handles this side of it. I don't mess with it as much anymore. Everybody knows QuickBooks. I think 90% of most companies use QuickBooks at some point. We still use it to this day. We love it. It works for us. It's easy to manage. And, normally if you have a problem, you can get on there and get somebody contacted and get it figured out really quickly. There's a ton of CRMs out there now. I mean, tons of them. We've used LMN before. They're up in Canada, if you don't know, Landscape Management Network. Phenomenal company. We may even go back to them at some point here just because it's that great. They have so many. I would say if you're a huge company, you can definitely benefit from this. Guys and gals starting out, they do have programs that'll work for you, not selling a pitch here or anything, but just do your research. Search them out, check them out. And find out what most people in your community are looking for. And I'm not talking about like influencers or anything like myself. Obviously there's things tied there, commissions and kickbacks and sponsorships that make people say things that maybe might not be true or anything like that. And you just want to make sure, and that's not saying anything bad about any influencers or whatever, but it can be kind of construed a little bit there, where obviously they want to benefit the company they're working for, yada, yada, yada. But just make sure you're doing your due diligence and, you'll find yourself a good CRM.
Exactly. And usually the winter time is like the best time to really dive deep and explore these things without it being the peak of the season. Because like you never want to be in a situation where like, it's May 3rd, it's 4 p.m., it's beautiful out. And instead of going out door to door, you're just on the computer typing up CRM. So the way we started, like it was just literally a pen and paper. Like, what's your address?
Same with me.
Name, phone number, power rate, $140. Sounds good. And then we eventually went to the Excel sheet, and that was a big revolution for us.
Did that myself.
We went to FreshBooks, and then we went to Yardbook, and then we went to Jobber. But as we changed and we started getting to fertilizer and weed control, there are certain things that need to be very compliant with us. So if you have to check your local state about pesticide usage, herbicide usage, but we need to make sure that every single job it tracks the wind speed, the humidity, the temperature, who was doing it, what was their certification number, what product did you use, what was the the DNS number on that, and like all these different things has to track automatically. So then we went to a software called Real Green, which is bloody expensive, mind you, like $2,500 a month. And I don't recommend getting to that right away. Stay yourself up to those. It's okay to have your CRM, your way of doing things evolve over time. Don't beat yourself up if you're using paper right now and you're just getting things going. It takes steps to get there. What's most important though is getting your services out there, getting your lawn signs on the ground after you finish jobs, and just building a book of clients.
I understand why people get, deterred and they feel overwhelmed when they're wanting to start out because there's so much information out here. And I'll say it like this. I didn't start out with a CRM either. And we started out with a notepad, just wrote down, hey, this customer, this is what we're charging, just to stay on top of things. And then we slowly did the same exact thing with Excel, on the computer. And then, we would print off weekly mowing routes. And this was back when we were doing bi-weeklies. And then you'd be sitting there like, I could have swore I mowed that one last week. And then this one, there's ways of simplifying, and 100% I say get a CRM when you can, but also a lot of these will offer you a free trial period, like a 90-day or something. So don't be afraid. You are going to have to plug all your information in there. It can be a little bit time consuming to get these things rolling. And I wouldn't say do the free trial if you have no interest of continuing this service, because you're just going to be wasting your time. But at least let you get your feet wet and kind of see what you're getting into. And then a lot of them have like stepping stones, an entry or a free, and then, like a mid, and then a pro, and then, et cetera, et cetera. So you can climb that as your business grows as well. But yeah,
It's
don't get
expensive when the price
deterred.
says talk to sales.
Yeah, exactly. Just don't get deterred and not do anything just because you're overwhelmed with, my trucks aren't all logoed up, and I don't have, a polo with my business name on it. Like, trust me, there was a point in my business whenever, taking 50, 75 bucks and getting a polo made, that was a hard choice to make, because it was like, I can take that could be gas for a day, yada, yada, yada. So don't feel like we're out of touch here whatsoever. We have been there. We have jumped through those hoops, and we're just trying to convey it to you. At least get started, even if you don't have a CRM. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to make bad choices, but if you can't afford insurance, be very, very careful. I started off the first year, I think, with no insurance. Just get going. Just get going. That's what I want you to do, is just get going.
Exactly. I mean, it's hard because like you want to tell yourself all the right things to do. Like for example, get insurance or do your books properly. But I'm with you. First year, I didn't have insurance. I kind of one, I didn't even know that you had to have it. Two,
Yeah.
and we kind of just took that risk. Like, thank God nothing happened. Thank God we didn't break anything or anyone got hurt. But like, it's okay to not know things. Like you really just got to get going, try things out, make a ton of mistakes. And one thing I actually wanted to ask you, Spencer. So, and by the way, guys, if at any point in this video you have questions that pop into your head that you want us to cover, please put a comment down below. We can always jump on another call and start to address some of these questions that you guys have, because we want to really help you get your business started ASAP, because there's not a lot of time left to get that going. But Spencer, one thing I always say to people is like, I say just get a credit card and don't accept any other way of payment. And I get a lot of blank stares when I say that, because people see that 3% fee, 4% fee from Visa and MasterCard, and they kind of freak out. And my argument's always, listen, I know it adds up. It can get pretty expensive but what's really expensive are sending invoices and following up 30 days, 60 days, sometimes not getting paid, and honestly spending all this time doing all this administrative tasks when you really should just be out getting more jobs and doing more jobs. So at Yard Dogs, we 99.9% of everyone pays with a credit card. Every now and then someone mails us a check, and like it's literally in our hand, like, oh, should we send this back and tell them to give us the credit card? Well, that's friction for them. I don't know. But what are your thoughts on methods of payment, Spencer?
Yeah. So I personally chuckle at the 3% anymore, just because I think people are looking at it wrong. They're looking at it as they're losing that money. You shouldn't be losing that money. You just need to be rolling that on the back end and just occurring. It's part of the overall bill. It's a convenience fee. They call it convenience because you don't have to get an envelope. You don't have to get a stamp. You don't have to go put it in the mailbox. You don't have to take it to the bank. It's so much more convenient, the convenience fee, to just click a button and boom, you have it. And once you have card on file, I mean, makes life so much simpler. You can't see their full card number, so you can't take advantage and use their credit card and run up stuff. So a lot of times people have the misconception of they give us their credit card number, we just hold on to it. We just got it like laying around. That's not how it works. Once you plug it in, or they plug it in on their end, you can only see the last four digits of those numbers. And then your biggest problem is, hey, that card went out of date. Maybe that card, they closed it or something, didn't realize they had it connected to that account, your account. And now you got to reach back out to them and say, hey, your card expired, or card got declined. We need to get a new card on file. And 99% of the time, boom, right there on the spot, you get another card on file and you move on with your life and you don't even think about it. So don't get hung up on that 3%. it can hold you back entirely if you're not willing. And I'll give you an example, and this is real life. So 2 years ago, almost three now, we bought a storage facility, and we had 39 units at this storage facility. So we had 39 new customers. Most of them were elderly. So whenever we switched everybody over to card on file, we got blowback. I don't even have an email, yada, 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 blah, blah, blah. And so we just told them, we gave them the options right there whenever we sent our letter and said, this is what we're doing. This is how you can handle it. So if you have customers that, they don't have an email or they don't have cards, you give them options to take care of that problem right there on the spot when you send them that letter, whether that's a rate increase letter, yada, yada, yada. That's another big one we can hop into here in a second. A lot of guys aren't, upping their prices year after year. And this isn't taking advantage of anybody. It's just part of, the gradual growth. But anyways, getting back to what I'm saying, people will try to take the easy route and say, hey, I don't know how to do this card on file thing, or I don't even have an email. Okay, this is 2024. Everybody has an email. My grandmother, before she passed away, she had an email. Okay. So don't take those little things, because people will try to take the easy route out, and it makes it life hard on you at the back end because you're the one taking it to the bank and all of that. Don't let them just escape there with, those little things that can they can seem really big to them, but in reality, you take a couple minutes, walk the person through the process of setting it all up, and everybody's life's going to be better for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, for when you said roll it into the price, do you suggest they actually have a line item to call it convenience fee, or do you just increase it, have your prices increase over time?
Yeah, do it however you want. Just make sure it's on there so that you don't even have to think about it, And whenever you're talking to a customer, you can explain to them, hey, this is a convenience fee. This is to make your life easier and make my life easier. It's part of life. Convenience fees are nothing new. When you go into anywhere now and use your card, most of the time it sits there and it says, hey, if you don't spend X amount of dollars, you can't even run it, or there's going to be this huge charge or whatever. So it's 2024, guys. You just got to tell people, hey, this is the convenience fee, and it's going to be there regardless. I don't make any money off of it. You're not making any money off of it. What we're getting is our time back, and making life and business a lot easier.
What I've noticed with business that people don't care what you do as long as you tell them what you do. Like they
Yeah.
don't care as long as it's transparent. So, and you got to know your markets well. So I know in Canada, if I put on a line item like credit card processing fee, people kind of roll their eyes. It's like you're going through the grocery store and like it's like, would you like a bag for another $5 sort of thing? People are like, oh, come on, I'm already blowing so much money on this. But I recommend, just like you said, let's definitely jump into this. RG, put it into your prices, and your prices should be increasing every single year. There's one thing I got from that Mike Andy's Landscape Summit. He talked so much about often it's a pricing problem. If you don't know if it's the liquidity or leadership or those kind of thing problems, it's probably a price problem, and increase it. So let's be honest here, Spencer. Every single year, our prices are going up. Fertilizer, your equipment, your gasoline, your rent, all these things are going one way, and it's not down, it's up. So that people are, one, they expect it. Two, they understand it. Now you need to be reasonable. You're not jacking your price up twice as much every single season, but those little things like increasing it from anywhere between 2 and 10% usually really makes sense for, one, your bottom line, but two, it helps you provide great service. So don't be afraid to be one of the more expensive companies. You don't want to be the budget lawn care services, because people, if they want the quality that you're promising them and they want you to show up when you say you're going to show up, they want to be able to get access to a real person when they call in. They want to see that you're using new equipment, you have insurance, everyone's uniforms, not walking around with a cigarette hanging out of their mouth. You need to pay for that high labor, and that comes in the price. So you're proving your value to your customers year over year. If you are providing them true value, they're okay to pay for it.
The rate increase, I find I do free mentorship behind the scenes with some folks when I have the time. You find most of the time it's just how they break it down when they do that rate adjustment and how they word it. And I'll say I had a really good mentor, my buddy Nate. He has a large maple syrup company here in Ohio. And I know that could hit home with you Canadian guys.
Awesome. I hear it's really the maple syrup season this year.
Yeah, right now it's flowing. But anyways, he explained to me a while ago, he said, you take the guessing out of it for them. So whenever you're going to do a rate adjustment or a rate increase or however, and you mail them this letter or send the email, whatever, you make it very simple for them. And you put it on there. Okay, this is what you're changing from your price change. This is part of inflation. This is part of the price of goods and equipment. Everything's going up. You explain it to them because you don't want them to think you're just trying to make more money and take it from them because everybody wants to keep their money. We're all cheap. We want to keep as much money as we can. So on your email or your letter, you put down there, hey, this is the change. I want you to know that these are, and you're going to give them 2 or 3 of your closest competitors. You're going to give them the name of your competitor, the address, the phone number, and the email right there on there. Because then what they're going to do is they're going to look at it and they're going to go, for one, you're either crazy or maybe his prices aren't as bad as what we're thinking. But 99% of the time, they're not going to take the time to call your competitors to get them to come back out and to walk over their lawn or figure out their whole entire plan or whatever. And they're just going to move on. So you give them the price, then you give them your competitors, and then you say, hey, or the third box here, this is your price right now. Get it locked in. We'd hate for anything else to adjust. Here's your 3 weeks, 6 weeks, whatever you want to put your time frame, but you give them a call to action there at the very end so that they feel like they need to get you locked in because you might not be available 6 weeks from now. You're going to get busy. It's going to, as soon as spring takes off, everybody's looking.
I think that's really interesting. Like, you're so confident in your services and your prices. You say, hey, here are my competitors. You can go to them anytime, but here's your rate, sort of thing too. What we do with our company is that we send everyone out a notice usually at the end of the season. We do a prepay season. So we want to get as many people as possible to lock in the best rate now by prepaying. So we don't tell people what their price was last year. We just tell them what their 2024 price is going to be. And we say, yep, this is the price. Here's your program that you had last year. I'm telling them the program, not the price. Here's the price. Here's the same program. If you'd like to prepay, I'm going to give you this discount. I'm going to put your name into a draw for 2 round-trip tickets to anywhere in North America, something of the sorts, and get people. A lot of people will prepay. About 15% of our clients typically do. And that gets you money in the bank to help fund the next season, of course, because right now we're not making money. We're spending money through the roof right now, getting the new trucks and everything set up. But just let people, hey, don't hide it from them. Don't hide your prices. Just tell them, hey, this is what the price is going to be, Mrs. Jones. I can't wait to start up again for you this upcoming season. If you ever need anything, you give us a shout. And as long as you've done a good job for her throughout the season, she will probably stay with you because it is a pain in the butt. It is a pain in the ass, a pain in the grass to go get new customers every single season. And if you've done good work and you've shown your worth, could I go get another company for a few bucks a week cheaper? Maybe. But I know Spencer. I know his services. I know the quality he does. My time's worth more than that. I could mow my own lawn, but I hire him because I don't want to. I want to. Other thing is my life. So it's all about convenience.
A lot of the new guys and gals watching this, you got to get over the fear of losing the customer. You have to be so confident that your services are so much better in how you do it that if they leave, for a fact they're going to get a lesser service. And that in and of itself, that's not an arrogance thing or, you're not putting it out there as if you're better, but you are better and your business should be better than anybody else in your area. What you do and what your expertise is, that it's not even, a second guess if they're going to leave or not. They're going to look at it. Oh, it went up $5. Get them signed. We need to make sure we're on that list because we don't want who our neighbor has next door because, of X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to talk bad about any company, but yeah, your company needs to be better. And from a leadership standpoint, you guys are in a whole different ballgame than I am. We're a small company. My expertise is just guys and gals starting up and getting into it, maybe 3, 4 employees tops. That's kind of where I top out. So you guys running 15 trucks and stuff like that, that's a whole different ballgame and outside of my expertise. But a lot of this can translate. And what you do is just take what I do at a smaller level and then continue duplicating those same things. And you will get to, 15 trucks, 30 trucks. There's a local company here. I think they have 400 trucks now or 500. They're like the biggest in our area. They actually acquired one of the biggest and doubled the size of their company just a few years ago. It was insane. Yeah, take from this entire thing, and don't forget to share this stuff too, guys. This stuff, him taking his time, his expertise, and sharing it. Myself, this is a ton of knowledge on 14 years almost, 10 years. That's 24 years of life experience and expertise that are just rolled into a video here. And don't take it for granted. Use it, watch the whole thing, and share any of it if you find any of this valuable to yourself.
And I think to close up here, Spencer, I think we should probably just land on the point that it's important that people walk the walk, not just talk the talk. Because if you're going to say you're the best and you're going to charge like you're one of the premium companies, make sure you are. Make sure you're always taking the time to figure out, okay, how am I going to do my services better for my clients this year? My prices went up. So how am I going to outservice them so it's still a no-brainer and they feel stupid not going with me each season? So that comes down to, if you charge the right prices, you can pay your employees properly. You can get them benefits eventually. You can actually start to have them love their job and love coming to, Yard Dogs Lawn Care, because they know that the company takes care of them. And once they're taken care of, they're going to take care of your customers for you. So just make sure that guys are always coming to YouTube channels. There's so many amazing channels out there. There's Spencer Lawn Care, there's Brian's Lawn Care, there's Mike Andy's, there's The Dirt Life. Just make sure you're always absorbing things like a sponge, making things relevant to you, because obviously not everything's going to be relevant to your specific business, and focusing better and better, your services better and better, your team better and better, your lawn care company better and better. And then after 5, 6, 7 years goes by, you'll be in shock the difference.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it any better myself. It's just getting over that initial leap, taking that leap of faith. And just like a baby has to, the baby's got to crawl before it can walk, before it can run. Your business is going to be the same exact thing. Take pride, throw it out the window. I know it can be very deterring whenever you look at a company and they're all logoed out and they got multiple brand new trucks and all the nicest equipment. And I was there. I can remember standing on some of my customers that I have now, looking at those setups saying, man, I can't wait to get there. And then we got there. But it's going to take those years and those progressions, that crawling before you walk and then running. So just get going, guys. Absolutely crush it, man. Read books, always be learning, be a better person every single day, be a better business owner every single day. That's why I'm on here. I don't do a lot of podcasts anymore. I've kind of got bored with them, honestly. And this was something new that, we could do here and hopefully intrigue and inspire some folks to get started.
Awesome. Well, Spencer, thank you so much for taking the time to jump on a call with me today. I've learned so much talking to you. I hope you've learned something as well from us. And we're just looking to keep elevating the industry and helping that person that's on the fence from starting. You know what? Take a chance. You've got nothing to lose, especially if you keep it lean and stuff. Worst case scenario, you learn a lot and you spent a little bit of money. I think it was a good trade.
Get a lot of life expectancy. Thank you so much, James. Tell Liam I said hi. And yeah, you guys keep crushing it. We'll be watching you over here at Spencer Lawn Care for sure.
And you as well, man. Take care.